Have you ever imagined an Assassin's Creed game in Japan or China? Well, thanks to TeaserPlay, we got a cool impression of what this might look like. Looks really cool, right? And there is more and more reason to believe that we might actually see a mainline title in Asia, or at least as one of the playable settings. So let's go over that. If you are excited for an Assassin's Creed set in Asia, then totally leave a like to support the channel, subscribe to stay up to date on anything Assassin's Creed, and let's go. So TeaserPlay's demo of Assassin's Creed in Japan is created with Unreal Engine 5, and it looks absolutely stunning. We see an assassin walking around the Japanese village during the day and during the night, taking in the beautiful view on top of a hill, and they also show off some incredible environmental shots on a rooftop and from high up in the sky. It gives us a great example of what a next-gen title of Assassin's Creed could look like. However, it will of course look a bit different than what we see here because Ubisoft uses the Anvil engine for their Assassin's Creed game.
And Joyce, if I can chime in for a bit, Ghost of Tsushima I think already showed how cool an Assassin's Creed title in Japan could be, exploring the beautiful landscapes, the amazing armor sets we would be able to collect for both melee and stealth. The tools that Jin is using are not unfamiliar to Assassin's Creed either, let alone the mythology side that we could of course explore, as they also did in Ghost of Tsushima Legends. Maybe climbing these multiple layered buildings will be less ideal, so we would likely need the grappling hook again, and I think it's also worth noting that Ghost of Tsushima sold really well. Like, I really see no reason for Ubisoft to not include a Japanese or Asian setting in the future.
Oh yeah, that's indeed an interesting take on this, Jor, but good to note is that a visit to the Asian continent is not breaking new ground in the Assassin's Creed franchise. We've got the Assassin's Creed Chronicles set in China and India, which are of course the side-scrolling games where the focus lies more on stealth. They aren't big AAA titles, but each story stands on its own and the Chronicles are tied together narratively. We've got Tencent, who is working on a mobile game with leaked images that seem to point at a Chinese setting, but we also got the Assassin's Creed Stories universe, where we can find a lot of Assassin's Creed lore set in that era. Starting with a big one, which you might not recognize immediately, Assassin's Creed Dynasty. It started out as an original Chinese-only webcomic that was released in August 2020, and the story takes place in 8th century China during the Tang Dynasty. We follow the journey of Li E, and I hope I pronounce this right, who was originally a foot soldier in the Tang army, but got betrayed by his allies, resulting in a catastrophic bloodbath. He survived and got rescued by a group of hidden ones who trained him on the Silk Road. As the Tang dynasty starts to crumble, Li E must team up with Tang loyalists to save the dynasty and China from the greatest scheme the Middle Kingdom has ever faced, as noted by Ubisoft's official blog post. The story in general sounds really awesome. They also created a trailer for this, as shown in this video, to get a particular feel for it already, and the webcomic is a huge hit in China. It has reached 1 billion views. Not surprising then that since January 2022 the comic is being English translated in paperback versions and will be released as 5 volumes throughout this year, with the first 3 volumes already out. If you are interested, you can buy and read these digitally via Amazon, for example. An interesting thing here is that we might see these novels translated to games as well. In September last year, Ubisoft held a live stream about Assassin's Creed Stories, where Daniel, a community manager from AC Valhalla, sat down with Amar, one of the directors on the transmedia content of AC Stories. Here they noted that they would love to see novels turn into games, but that the issue always was that in novels they could quickly change time periods, where in games it would of course be way more effort to create multiple settings into one game. And we have only seen the mainline titles focus on one period so far, although that should change with Assassin's Creed Infinity, that according to Jason Schreier will feature multiple settings, opening the door for more novels to be translated to games. And it's not as if we haven't seen it before. Did you know that in the Assassin's Creed Revelations multiplayer, we would look through the eyes of Otso Berg? Yeah, that name sounds familiar, but he didn't have a voice, face, or backstory yet, which he later got through transmedia and comics. After which he returned to the game as a proper character. We saw him in Assassin's Creed Rogue, where he would be asked to join the Templar Order, but he also showed up at the end of Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and of course in the Fate of Atlantis DLC of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. We also got Daniel Cross, which you might remember from Assassin's Creed 3. Daniel's first appearance was in Assassin's Creed The Fall, a graphic novel about the adventures of Russian assassin Nikolai Orlov during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, whose genetic memories were viewed by Daniel. He also showed up in the multiplayer of Revelations, voiced only though, but eventually got the same treatment as Otso with a full character design in Assassin's Creed 3. And Nikolai Orlov, the Russian assassin from Daniel's Memories, got his own game in 2016 with Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia, 4 years after Assassin's Creed 3 was released. Maybe the same happens for Lee who's now only known from the Dynasty comics and, well, surprisingly, merchandise, like a special hoodie or a pillow. This includes their own Creed crest design on the fabric here, where it's being described as a representation of peonies, delicate flowers that can sometimes be synonym to death, justice and revenge. I mean, sounds like the perfect match for an assassin to me, and Ubisoft is pushing the marketing for this on Twitter, for example. Prepare to turn the tide with this fresh AC Dynasty collection. Now, this might not sound that special, because game franchises get a lot of different types of merchandise often, but Assassin's Creed merch is mostly focused on their AAA titles and not their transmedia content. Looking at their website, for example, the only titles that show up here are from well-known entries like Unity, Origins, Odyssey, and recently Valhalla, and not to mention the 15th anniversary collection. So why is Dynasty suddenly up there with the big titles? But there is more. We've also got the Assassin's Creed Imperial Jade Seal novel set in Chinese history from the 3rd to 17th centuries, with the first installment released in March this year. This first part is set at the dawn of the Tang Dynasty, where a young woman sets out on her quest for revenge and becomes a member of the Hidden Ones in the process. The Ubisoft blog notes that she is soon set on a crucial mission, finding and securing a powerful piece of Eden. Now, with so many adventures, different types of explorations in this era, and the huge success of their webcomic overseas, you would think that Ubisoft is looking into a particular game idea, right?
I'm not sure if you're asking me, but I think so. And the perfect candidate would be Ubisoft Chengdu. I've been following them for some time now. They worked on the East Anglia region for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, next to the Standing Stone puzzles, the dice games and the cairns. But they're also leading things now, like the Chinese mythology DLC for Immortals Phoenix Rising last year. Like, they're taking up bigger projects, as Director L, and I hope I pronounced it right, he's a Chinese YouTuber, noted in his video. Like, he was able to go to the studio. He showed that they also worked on the Chinese faction for For Honor. Like, again, they have experience in the Assassin's Creed franchise and they're continuously taking on bigger projects. I think that would be a perfect candidate to lead or focus on an Asian setting for a future Assassin's Creed game.
Oh wow, you're right. I mean, that would actually make a lot of sense. And we might get a hint in September already during the Future of Assassin's Creed event, and we will of course keep you posted here when it happens. So subscribe to stay up to date on anything Assassin's Creed. A like on this video would really help us out, and let us know what you think in the comments down below. You can check out our previous video by clicking on the screen with more info on the upcoming Assassin's Creed event and what we might expect to see there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!